Hey guys, it's now time to go over the sixth anticipated objection to Smart's identity thesis. This is going to be a pretty quick video because it is pretty easy to get and it kind of refers to most of the stuff we've already explored. Alright, so what do we need to do? What we usually do, we need to name, define, and interrelate different terms. Then we need to explore a summary of how Smart will reply to the sixth objection. And then we need to read how he actually developed that by reading what he wrote. So write these down, please. 1, 2, 3. Score yourself out of 4 for each of them. And then I want you to tell me what in your world is truly private. What's this privacy word all about? Write it down somewhere. You don't have to share it because it's private, but what kind of things are private to you? That's very important. Well, if you hadn't guessed, basically the next objection, the sixth objection, is based on the concept of privacy and gets us to think about what is private and what is not. So the objection that Smart anticipates is, well, okay, premise one, the sensations that I have and the sense datum or the things that the objects of my experience of the sensation that I have are private, and because they appear to me directly as they are absolutely perfect. They're infallible. They're infallible because they are exactly what they are, right? But when I talk about brain processes, they're publicly available for everybody to observe, and we can see how they go wrong. So therefore, my actual sensations must be different from my brain processes. I'll just go over it again. The reason why we're saying sensations are private is because only you get to experience them and see them. And we're talking about not whether or not they're based on a true reference to the external world. We're just saying they are true and perfect and complete in the sense that they are total representations of what they are to you, rather than the thing they're supposed to represent outside the sensation. Okay? So, if you probably guessed, Smart's reply is exactly the same thing, right? Here I have the Christmas lights, and if I tell you, this is probably what I'm going to do next Christmas, I'm just going to say ditto, have a look at these lights. He says the same thing. He says, look, let's think about what we just argued, and oh, well, we've got logic already to go over and explain how that really isn't the case. So take a note. Objection 6. Sensations are private, brain processes are public. If I say I see a yellowish orange after image and I'm not making a verbal mistake, then I cannot be wrong. And this is what I mean about the sensation not being defined as what it's referring to, but just the sensation in and of itself, right? It's completely perfect in terms of your reference of what you see. Maybe not what it's representing, but what you see, right? And I can't be wrong about what I see, okay? So I'll go over this again. If I sincerely say I see a yellowish orange after image and I am not making a verbal mistake, then I cannot be wrong. But I can be wrong about a brain process. The scientist looking into my brain might be having an illusion. Moreover, it makes sense to say that the two or more people are observing the same brain processes, but not that the two or more people are reporting the same inner experience. Yep, easy. So we kind of get what it's talking about. It's saying that it's quite easy to say that what one person sees is not what the other person sees. So what they're referring to might be the same thing, but they see it differently. But when we're talking about the actual sensations of those two people, person one and person two, the actual thing, what they see in and of itself, not what it's actually referring to. So the image that becomes immediately available to them, not necessarily what the image is about, is 100% true. But because they're seeing something different, what that image is representing or referring to in the outside world might be different. Do we get where we're coming from? Take a note. And this is where we go. We go reply. This shows that the language of introspective reports has a different logic from the language of material processes. It's perfect. So it's basically saying that the language of what occurs in my mind in private, which is introspective, has a very different logic from the language of reporting on the material process that we observe. All right. It is obvious that until the brain process theory is much improved and widely accepted, that there will be no criteria for saying Smith has an experience of such and such sort, except Smith's introspective reports. Okay, let's read that again. It is obvious that until the brain process theory is much improved and widely accepted, there will be no criteria. He kind of italicizes that for saying Smith has an experience of such and such a sort, except Smith's introspective reports. So what he's saying is the only criteria until we get really good understanding of how the brain process works, the only criteria we can have for explaining what's going on in Smith's brain is basically with direct reference to his introspective report. But when brain processes become really good and we can understand how the brain produces the sensation that we experience, then we can use that to describe exactly the same thing, right? So we've adopted a rule of language that normally what Smith says goes. Okay, so basically what we're saying is in that reply, he admits again that the our knowledge of brain processes hasn't arrived to the point where we can completely account for what we experience and therefore for the sensations that we experience. We haven't arrived where we can completely complain that using the language of material brain processes. So at this point in time, especially at the time that he's writing, the only real criteria for accounting for the direct experience of the person is by saying that, Mr. Smith has this experience of such a sort, right? That's really important. All he's basically saying is that there are two different types of logic that account for sensations, or more importantly, our experiences of sensations and the actual brain processes themselves. But again, like everything else, they refer to the same thing, okay? So the meaning's different, but the thing they're referring to ontologically is the same. Easy goes, all right? So we've done what we need to do. We understand we have privacy as a key concept, but again, just because our experiences of sensation are private and they're true 100% in so far only as the way they directly appear to us, not in terms of what they reflect of what they are supposed to represent in the outside world, right? So our sensations are only 100% true to us, only in terms of how they directly and immediately appear to us. Um, Basically that's just saying different meaning, different way of referring to the same ontological process of which the brain produces. Okay, really simple to get. Okay, that's it. Thank you.